Tonight, when you close your eyes, you will be completely unconscious for 8 hours. You won't be able to run. You won't be able to fight. You won't even know what's happening around you. And yet, something extraordinary has kept your species alive through every single night for the past 300,000 years. Predators almost never attack sleeping humans. Think about that for a moment. You are a slow animal. You have no claws, no fangs, no armor. You can't see in the dark. You are, by almost every biological measure, easy prey. And yet lions don't drag you from your tent. Wolves don't circle your campsite at 3 a.m. Leopards don't slip in through open windows. Something invisible is protecting you while you sleep. And the answer is far stranger than you think. It starts with a smell. Your body right now is broadcasting a chemical signal to every predator within range. Not the smell of fear. Something older than that. Something that predators have learned over millions of years to treat as a warning. When you sleep, your body temperature drops slightly, your breathing slows, and your skin begins producing a specific cocktail of compounds: sebum, lactic acid, trace ammonia from metabolic waste, and a faint chemical marker linked to your immune system. To a predator's nose, that combination doesn't smell like food. It smells like risk. Biologist and wildlife researcher Dr. Paul Funston, who spent decades studying lion predation behavior in southern Africa, documented that lions consistently avoid sleeping humans even when those humans are completely unprotected and entirely unaware of the lion's presence. In his field observations, lions approached sleeping human figures, sniffed the air, and withdrew, not because they were afraid of the human, but because the scent profile didn't match the trigger that activates a hunt. Predators don't just attack anything. They have evolved extraordinarily specific prey recognition systems, and those systems are built around movement. This is the key insight that most people miss. Almost every large predator on Earth is primarily triggered by motion. The flicker of a running deer, the dart of a fleeing rabbit, the thrash of a fish. Movement is the on switch. It is what turns a resting animal into a hunting machine. And when you are lying completely still, deeply asleep, something counterintuitive happens in the predator's brain. You don't register as prey at all. You register as something else: a rock, a log, an unknown object, a potential threat. This is not an accident. It is the result of millions of years of evolutionary pressure on both sides. Your ancestors who slept still and quiet survived. The ones who thrashed around in their sleep, tossing and turning, crying out, moving unpredictably in the dark, they were more likely to trigger a predatory response and disappear before morning. Natural selection quietly removed them from the gene pool and kept the still sleepers. In a very real sense, your sleep paralysis, the strange phenomenon where your brain temporarily disconnects voluntary muscle control during REM sleep, is at least partly an ancient predator defense. Dr. Jerome Siegel, a sleep researcher at UCLA who has studied sleep patterns in modern hunter-gatherer communities, including the Hadza of Tanzania and the San of Namibia, found something remarkable. These communities, who sleep outdoors in environments with real predators, do not sleep the way modern Western humans do. They sleep in groups with individuals waking and sleeping at different times throughout the night, creating an almost continuous low-level social awareness even while most group members are unconscious. The group itself functions like a single vigilant organism, with staggered wakefulness, providing passive surveillance that no individual could maintain alone. This is social sleep, and it is one of the most powerful predator defenses your species ever evolved. Think about it from the predator's perspective. You are a leopard moving through the bush at 2 a.m. You detect a cluster of slow-moving, warm bodies ahead. A few are moving, most are still. The moving ones are watching. They will detect you, and if they detect you, the alarm will wake the others. Suddenly, the risk calculation changes entirely. One sleeping human is a potential meal. 10 sleeping humans with rotating wakefulness is a coordinated threat. And coordinated threats, even from animals much smaller than a leopard, can injure or kill. Your ancestors didn't just survive by sleeping still. They survived by sleeping together. But there's another layer here, one that goes deeper into your evolutionary history than social behavior or scent chemistry. You are a fire animal. For somewhere between 1 and 2 million years, your hominid ancestors maintained fire through the night. Not just for warmth, not just for cooking, but because fire does something to predators that almost nothing else does. It triggers a deeply wired avoidance response that researchers believe is essentially unlearnable. Primatologist Richard Wrangham, in his landmark work on the role of fire in human evolution, documented in his book Catching Fire, argues that the controlled use of fire was not merely a technological advantage for early humans. It was a biological game changer that restructured the entire predator-prey dynamic around human campsites. Large predators, even ones that have never encountered fire before, consistently avoid it. This is not learned behavior, it is innate. Fire means instability, heat, unpredictable movement, and potential injury. A sleeping human surrounded by fire is not a sleeping human at all from a predator's point of view. It is an object embedded in a field of danger. The fire moves, the fire snaps and pops. The fire throws flickering light that makes shapes and distances unreliable. And that uncertainty is enough to make even an apex predator choose a different path. You have been sleeping safely next to fire for over 1 million years. The campfire isn't just a comfort. It is one of the oldest security systems your species ever invented. Now here's where it gets strange. Modern researchers studying predator behavior in national parks and wildlife reserves have noticed something that initially seemed puzzling. Even in areas where large predators regularly prey on livestock and occasionally on unprotected humans, documented attacks on sleeping people are vanishingly rare compared to attacks on people who are awake, moving, and active. The 2021 study by Lawrence Frank and colleagues at Living with Lions, which tracked predator attack patterns across sub-Saharan Africa, found that the overwhelming majority of attacks occurred when humans were upright, moving, and often running, exactly the behavioral profile that activates predatory response in large cats. Running is the worst thing you can do. Your motion, your acceleration, your flight response AD, these are precisely the signals that predators have evolved to chase. When you run, you become prey. When you lie still, you become something the predator's brain genuinely does not know what to do with. So what is actually protecting you at night? It is not one thing. It is a layered system built over millions of years of evolutionary negotiation between your ancestors and every predator that shared their landscape. It is your smell, which signals uncertainty and biological complexity. It is your stillness, which fails to trigger the motion detection systems that activate a hunt. It is your body chemistry during sleep, which marks you as a creature of unknown immunological status, a risk rather than a reward. It is social sleeping, which distributes vigilance across a group so that no predator can approach undetected. It is the ancient memory of fire, still coded into the behavioral repertoire of predators that have lived alongside burning things for longer than Homo sapiens has existed. And it is the specific hardwired way that predator brains evaluate risk, a calculation that sleeping humans, more often than not, lose to. Tonight, when you close your eyes, every one of those ancient systems will quietly activate. You won't think about it. You won't choose it. It will simply happen the way it has happened every night for every one of your ancestors, stretching back to the African savanna 100,000 generations ago. You won't even know you're being protected. And that, more than anything, is what makes sleep one of the most profound acts of evolutionary trust your body has ever learned to perform.